right? So I may correct you, okay, in my always, in my thinking, in my perception, right? And one more thing. When we work with a piece of writing, it seems we pay attention to the corrections of grammatical mistakes or errors. We pay attention to the accuracy, right? However, in our mind, we just in some way recognize, okay, the new thinking, the new ideas, the new expression. Is that right? Because each of us has our own of thinking, our own way of expression, our own writing style. So it's not easy to make comments on this one or to correct your style or your expression. So in this session, I will make some introduction, and then while we have the CA, I remember having told you once. We have the CA and EA, right? Once. And then, upon the assumption of what we have learned, what we have known, what we have understood about the mistakes, the errors, and then, as a teacher, what should we do? As a learner, what should we do? Right? And then you have raised some question whether the self-correction is good or not good. Think. We may have the direct correction, we may have the indirect correction. For example, if you have the, you mark the spelling, in this way you have indirect one, right? If you cross it and you're okay, writing, and then but we have the two T's here, and you cross one. In this way you have direct correction. Now which one would you like? So this way, although the teacher marks, but he marks implicitly, that means that he leaves the responsibility to the learners. So this way, we have a self-correction. And in a way, you don't understand of what it means. For example, in this paragraph, okay, we have two clauses. Then negotiation of meaning will happen. Whether you will initiate the correction, you come to see me, a teacher, can you explain it in this way? Or you ask your friend to have a peer correction, right? Or you think, why? And remember, correction, nobody wants, right? The teacher would like you to go on well with the lesson. And you as a learner, because of your identity, you don't want to be humiliated. You want to be hurt, right? Although it may be a very minor correction, okay, you lose your face to a certain extent. So it's up to the teacher, it's up to the level of understanding, it's up to the specific target group. The teacher may give you something else. And then when you make the selection, I mark a lot of papers, right? Maybe the first one I pay attention to, okay, the overall expression, but to certain paper, to certain letters, and then I will make more specific, more concrete one. And then I may return all the paper to you, and you find how it works, right? Whether it means it to you. And then, of course, the teacher don't have enough time to give practically all comments, right? So selection, that means for Tung's paper, just one or two. For my case, one or two, right? For Hiền, one or two. But here, my case, my case, or Tung, okay, will be the representative, I say representative mistake for all. I don't have to correct, okay, this one again. And then the learners have, okay, the Vietnamese learner, very bad practice. For example, if I am to correct Tung mistakes, and then it's Tung, to be attentive to my explanation. The other have quick enough to work with it. Right? For example, the other may make the same mistake, but I take to maybe the most serious one, for example, and this one will help you to help yourself. And then you can see, while your friends are here, I can make a presentation. Just a few of you, right? Listen to them attentively. And if you don't, you have to self-correct. For example, Thai, very bad, very poor PowerPoint. Why? For example, why we have the PowerPoint instead of writing on the wall, right? I write on the wall, and then teacher cannot write all. Some words, some keywords only, and then instead of chalk and wall, and then you have this one. How many words is okay? And then the color, right? Make sure that you understand, you see it, but how about the other at the end of the class? Let's think about that. Because we have now oral channel, visual channel. If they don't see this, okay, no effect, it's no use. Think about that. I don't know for sure whether in the second stage you have to make some PowerPoints and send to your teachers overseas. But for the SQU, Southern Queensland University, you have to make your own PowerPoint and send to them. And then it is soft skills. I don't have to tell you, right? And then you will see which one is okay, which one is good. Okay. In the course of learning, where everything, mistakes occur. And then once the teacher will all the mistakes made by the learners. The mistakes committed or made by the learner show his current evidence of learning. Right? Whether we have the negative views or the positive views upon the mistakes, the first thing. The second thing, the distinction between mistakes and errors. Okay, in the second article, we have a very good point, a peacock there. Mistakes is the flaw of application, right? The flaw of application, not the flaw of knowledge, right? But if it is the matter of knowledge and it becomes error. So teacher learning their native tongue, and then we have to understand that when we were young, you felt thirsty and you asked for some water, right? And then your mom gave you some. And then sometimes you say, không nước, no example, right? But your mom understood it, right? And then you may transfer it into the way you learn. And later you can see, and then if we make an inventory, and then we say, instead of you say em không uống nước, con không uống nước, không nước, and then I no drink. I don't drink, and later I don't drink. Right? The first I don't drink. Okay, right. So the feedback from the teacher this way, we think in the viewpoint of SCT, social cultural theory. And then you are the expert, the learners are the novices, right? And the teacher will show you, okay, what you are committing, what in terms of mistake, grammatically acceptable or unacceptable in terms of global errors or a local error, right? And then from this point of view, you can understand what to correct, what not to correct. First, the teacher will be very tired if he has to correct all mistakes. First thing. And that's why we have to make some representative one. Just a few, not all. Right. And then when we from behaviorism, okay, no mistakes. But from communicative point of view, any mistake which hinder your understanding will be corrected. Right? And the others, okay, will be left until the end of the lesson. Okay, you know that? But how to correct is another problem. Because correction will help the learner to go forward, not to stop him from learning. And then whether the teacher correction, peer correction, or self-correction, or whether we have a direct or indirect. And we know the learner's differences and individual differences. And you know, I don't know. I give you the theory in all, but it's up to the class we are working with, and then we have some measures, some techniques. Okay. Now, from the L1 to L2, if the two languages are more or less the same, it will facilitate, it will accelerate our learning. However, for example, Vietnamese is one type of language, English, European one, another. Then this way, mistakes will be inevitable, right? And then from this point of view, first, conductive analysis or error analysis. And then, the teacher has to know the sources of errors. The sources of error. And then, as a teacher, as the material developer, and then they have to, okay, these are the typical errors of Vietnamese learners. These are the typical errors of Vietnamese learners, but in Hue, for example, not in Missouri. So, you have to some techniques to help the learners to correct themselves. Now, remember, there are too many words for this one, but because it's a direct code, so I like to do it in this way. We are strongly advised maximum writing 40 words. Maximum 40 words. Right? Okay. So think of the conductive analysis and then the error analysis. Behaviorism is again. Okay, this is linked with the names of Robert Lado. Robert Lado in Language Across Culture. And this point of view, Lado can make a comparison between, for example, Vietnamese and English in terms of pronunciation, in terms of vocabulary, in terms of structure, in terms of expression. For example, pronunciation first. Pronunciation first. For example, in Vietnamese we have this one. Good. Okay. In English we also have this one. But are they the same? No, why not? Hmm? Remember, in English, plosive. You know plosive? We have three pairs. We say ah, ah, right, ah. In English we say ah, 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 ah. But in English we have to say ah, ah. Or else I cannot understand you, right? However, if this one appears in the sentence, right? In the sentence, and then okay, your mispronouncing of this one, okay, it's nothing. Oh, thank God, don't come again. When you say in hat, acting bomb, and then you have to think about this one or this one. Right? Okay. But in Vietnamese, this one is fricative. Fricative. Okay. At home, trying to read the phonetics books again. Okay. Now, for example, in Vietnamese, we also have this one. In English, we also have this one. Right? But in English, we say done. Done. And then you have to open your mouth. In Vietnamese, we say done. Okay. You say mờ also. Right? We say em. Em đi đâu? For example, em. So in this way, we make the contrast, the comparison between the one in English, the one in Vietnamese. And he thought if the learners know these differences, and he would try to avoid making a mistake. Now, pronunciation. Now we have to come to vocabulary. I told you many times, right? Okay. Vocabulary, for example, we have the gà trống, gà mái, for example, and then we have a cock, we have a rooster. In the dictionary, you have two, right? Without knowing that, this one is a taboo, this one is strongly recommended. Right. And then in the structure, grammar, structure, for example, grammar, right? In Vietnamese, we have a plurality. But plurality does not be expressed in the form of suffixes, right? But we have the lexical choice. Một, hai, ba, nhiều, nhật, mấy, blah, blah, blah. Right? So we may say, I have two books. Instead of two books, this one and this one, when you say I have two books. So, you know, interlingual error here. From M1 to M2. Right? Then you will see. But okay, how can the teacher know? You don't know, and how can you tell your learners? How can you tell your learners? Now, later we have the error analysis. That means the teacher will pay attention to the the proof, the evidence of error or mistake happen in the class, happen to each of the learners, and to help them to overcome. So in this stage, you see, okay, as teacher, we have to shift the emphasis away from teaching, right? What we know, okay, do what the learners actually learn, and what actually makes mistake. Taught study of learning from the learner's point of view, not from the teacher's point of view. And then, within this context, the study of errors takes new importance. Right. Then instead of dwelling on the capacity of analysis, we have to shift our view, right, our teaching to help the learner to know the error analysis. For example, when you work with young learners in your class, for example, here from okay, for example, and then you can calculate the typical error and mistakes, right, made by your learners. And then you compare with some of your friends here, whether they are working with learning in Ho Chi Minh City, and do learning in Ho Chi Minh City make similar mistakes to those in the this will have the error analysis. Error analysis. Now, and then you can see we have this one, maybe the local one. Now how about expression? Vietnamese have our own expression styles, right? And then you see, we have to go this way. Right? But the English one, they go this way. Right. Because we used to be taught, we used to learn this way, so this habit is firmly established. And then when you say something, you go this way. When you write something, you write it this way. And then when you read the book, and then you see, okay, how many points we know correctly, and why? It's not easy to change our habit. Because when I mark the paper, I mark, okay, this way, and I feel happy, I feel it's okay. But when you submit it to, okay, for example, in second stage, your Australian speaker, native speakers, and then they try their best, okay, to scan, to find out where the main points are. But the problem is, when you mark the paper, you try to find out the grammatical mistakes in terms of structure, in terms of morphological errors, for example. However, a great majority of Vietnamese teachers of English like to give more marks to more expressive one, although there are some mistakes inside. So this one, you see, the making of errors can be regarded as device and use this in order to learn. And then you have to look at the different point, more open-minded point, whether they are trying to make some hypothesis testing. You understand? Hypothesis testing. They hear somewhere, right? Listen to somebody, and then they know something new, and now they want to express in your paper here, and thinking that it is correct. If it is correct, and then you have to give it new ideas. Good, right? You have to confirm that it is exactly correct. Or else you say, okay, it's not appropriate here. Right? So think about it. Okay. Right. Learner language and errors. You still remember the terms learner language? Learner language. V? What does it mean learner language? Thamete. I don't remember your name. Learner language, the inter-language. From L1 to L2. English. Right. You may be here. Right? So you are near Vietnamese. Right? When you are here, you are near, okay, this is where you are near native. For example, that means less and less mistakes. I mean the interlingual. Right? And think about the characteristics of the learner language, systematicity. You understand it? For example, we have although, but, and then you know, Vietnamese mistake. Now, for example, when you pronounce per and mer, okay, for example, at the end, and then you drop the final ending, that Vietnamese. That's systematic. Vietnamese learners of English are apt to make these mistakes, and then change. Right? The more mature, the more experienced, and then you drop this. Right? And then on the cost to enter. So what kinds of errors learners make? Let's see. First, in terms of language elements, we have pronunciation, we have grammar, we have a vocabulary. Right? Global scope, global level, expression. Remember, when we study cognitive competence,